Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now March 8th of 2022, and ever since the very end of The Bad Batch and of course the Book of Boba Fett, a lot of Star Wars fans around the world have been very curious about the future of the Star Wars franchise by George, John, and Dave, and exactly what they really have in store by combining both Star Wars Legends and the Disney canon material together, and exactly how that's really going to transfer to, of course, everything related to the Mandoverse, to new and different eras that we have never seen before that will be introduced in the Star Wars canon. It really is quite a time to be a Star Wars fan right now. Now, of course, we already know that George, John, and Dave are working around the clock and are doing everything in their power to bring Star Wars back in action. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and give me a follow on there. I do post a couple of entertaining things from time to time and really make sure to interact with you guys further. So it's even all the more exciting right now is that, yes, we are getting very close to the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series trailer, which, by the way, is just around the corner. And in fact, we're going to be getting it momentarily because of the shift in schedule with The Bad Batch Season 2. There's been a little bit of a hiccup with the overall production of that show that's actually allowing Lucasfilm to tap into the marketing this time around for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series earlier than expected. So that's one, silver lining to what happened with The Bad Batch and how there's a lot of production issues here and there. We'll get into that a little bit later. But everything else related to the Kenobi TV series and how that's going to really dive more into the story of Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker and flashbacks. I mean, we're going to have a lot of content to actually go over with that show and how it's really going to interfere with a lot of the other Star Wars projects. I know that the Kenobi series is by far the most anticipated TV show, but it's going to mix together with other TV shows that are going to branch off of it, kind of like how Mandalorian created the Ahsoka series and the Boba Fett series. A similar pattern is going to happen with the Kenobi show. Now, on top of all of this, what's really exciting has everything to do with what actress Daisy Ridley recently had to say about the character, of course, of Rey, and how it actually involves Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, with both Daisy Ridley, of course, and everyone associated with, Star Wars as we know it with the sequel trilogy, like Adam Driver, we've seen how Oscar Isaac and John Boyega want nothing to do with the franchise. However, both Disney and Lucasfilm are actually beginning to work on the Ahsoka Tano series, where creators Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are getting ready to end filming for the Mandalorian Season 2. Now, it's described, however, that creator George Lucas is getting ready to begin a very involved work for the beginning of some major plans that Disney CEO Bob Chapek is going to be using for the new Star Wars universe. Now, it's described, however, that actress Daisy Ridley recently engaged in an interview where she was able to discuss more about her time of filming the sequel trilogy films for Disney. Daisy Ridley went on to state that, well, when we were filming the last one, we really didn't know who Rey was going to be or who she was actually going to be from, and everything was scrambled for us. And we had experimented so many different scenes with, of course, that were partially shot. I will never forget that we were so close, this close to making Rey into the granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was going to be one of the biggest scenes of the sequels. We even had Ewan McGregor come in to do some test shots, and we're even just so close to making this the real deal for Star Wars fans. And I myself thought that this would have been rather poetic than what we did in the final cut. You see, if it was the Kenobi, if I was a Kenobi, then I would be fighting Adam's Kylo Ren, who is connected to Anakin Skywalker. We were going to be the grandchildren of both Anakin and Kenobi. It was so fitting. So let me just stop right there for a second on what Daisy said. Now, obviously, she has a point. This would have been far more poetic than what we got in the sequel trilogy movies. Obviously, if you look at everything related to what Daisy Ridley said here, of how Rey was going to be the granddaughter of Obi-Wan, and she was going to be battling against Kylo Ren, who would be the grandson of Darth Vader, aka Anakin Skywalker. And it would have been perfect. It really would have been. If you think about it, the Battle of Kef Bir, alright, the Duel of Kef Bir, which is the world that you see all the water going over the Death Star wreckage. You have them fighting against each other. The water represents the lava that was actually seen on Mustafar. So you can already see how they kept a couple of those themes intact with the Rey Kenobi concept and ideas that J.J. Abrams actually adopted from Colin Trevorrow. We'll get into that in just a second of what Daisy has to say about that. But it really was quite fitting, like she says. It was a fitting experience, and it would have made a lot more sense. Something that Kathleen Kennedy seems to have a lot of issues with, let's just face it. So, moving beyond all of that, now the scene where I learned that I was Kenobi's granddaughter took place in this Jedi underworld, she says, type of setting. JJ was testing with a place that dealt with Jedi ruins that were buried underneath the surface of Pisana, that was going to be explored, where Kenobi's Force Ghost was even going to have a major appearance to me to teach Rey a lesson or two. I instantly fell in love with this vision, and it's a vision that JJ borrowed from Colin Trevorrow that Kathleen Kennedy eventually shifted away from and decided to make me into a Palpatine instead. I just couldn't believe that many of those at Lucasfilm wanted to actually ditch the whole Rey Kenobi thing. But yes, back to subject, I had quite a number of lines that I was given to interact with Ewan. You see, Ewan was going to be merged with CG, of course, to emulate Sir Alec Guinness, to give the fans that type of Force Ghost done by Ewan McGregor, since he had learned the mannerisms of old Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was beautiful. I had even told JJ that this was the best thing that you could possibly do for Rey's lineage, and was truly shocked to learn months down the road that Kathleen Kennedy and others forced the scene out of the equation. The scene was stunning. JJ had this idea of giving the Jedi underworld a bluish tint to match the Force Ghost appearance of Obi-Wan, and it was going to be something straight out of a fairy tale. The way it was partially shot was something that truly was awe-inspiring, and I'm so upset that the fans never got a chance to see all of this. So, once again, this is yet another idea that Daisy Ridley was so close to actually getting herself into the final cut for, and allowing the fandom to see something truly meaningful. Now, obviously, when you look at Rey becoming a Palpatine, that was so obvious and clear that that was Kathleen Kennedy's way of creating an easy explanation as to why she was so overpowered in The Force Awakens and in the entirety of the sequel trilogy. It really came off like that now, didn't it? Now, yes, you know, in a way it does kind of feel right to make Rey connected to at least one of the legacy characters to make her feel more important, but at the same exact time, I feel like that what they should have done at minimum was, if they weren't going to do the whole Rey Kenobi thing, maybe they should have just let things, you know, be and just made her into a random character that was very powerful, aka Rey Solana, which was an idea that Colin Trevorrow was also going over before the script was finalized. And everything related to that was going to be quite different in comparison to JJ's take on Rey becoming a nobody, which, by the way, JJ was very close to doing that in The Rise of Skywalker before they experimented with her becoming a Kenobi and then becoming a Palpatine. And so, you know, there is a lot of footage that they left behind. There's, in fact, almost a movie's worth of footage of characters like Rey, Kylo Ren, Palpatine, Luke, and others out there that they didn't really use for this movie. Daisy said this before in the past, that there was more Palpatine footage to work with. A lot more. And even Ian McDiarmid was very sorry to say that he couldn't really allow the fans to see that. So, I think that, you know, looking back at the sequel trilogy and how we almost were this close to getting Rey Kenobi, it really just makes you a little frustrated, right? The fact that they could have done something so meaningful like that, that would have been so fitting to the Star Wars franchise as a whole. So overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know about all this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.